Okay, let's dive right into this explainer by unraveling a massive, multi-million-dollar maritime mystery happening right beneath the surface of the ocean. It's a puzzle that has huge implications for our global supply chain, our atmosphere, and honestly, the very future of shipping. We are looking at what we'll call the Hormuz paradox. So check this out. Based on a really fascinating analysis by Captain Raghu Sharma, we've got a stark contrast. Imagine two completely different ships waiting at the exact same anchorage in the Strait of Hormuz, in the exact same water, for the exact same amount of time. Yet one leaves with just a thin, relatively harmless layer of green slime, while the other is completely choked by rock-hard barnacles. It's a crazy puzzle, right? Same water, same wait time. So what gives? Is it just, bad luck? Well, today we're going to decode exactly why identical ships foul so differently. And more importantly, we're going to explore why solving this underwater whodunit is directly tied to fighting the global climate crisis. But before we even get to those stubborn, hard-shelled barnacles, we really need to talk about microfouling, or as most of us would just call it, slime. See, there's this kind of dangerous habit in the commercial shipping industry of treating a slimed hull as perfectly acceptable simply because it doesn't set off the visual alarm bells of a barnacle invasion. But that habit is incredibly expensive, and as we're about to see, we all end up paying for it through higher global supply chain costs. The absolutely crucial point here is that this microscopic biological matrix, made up of bacteria, diatoms, and cellular substances, fundamentally changes the surface of the ship. Once that slime forms, the ship completely loses its sleek, engineered profile. It's kind of like trying to run a marathon while wearing a heavy winter coat. Research actually shows that this seemingly harmless slime can force a ship to increase its propulsive power by up to 10.1% just to maintain its normal operating speed. And that brilliantly illustrates exactly why you and I should care about this. For a massive cargo ship, that extra 10% in power requirement isn't just some rounding error. It instantly translates to burning significantly more fuel and, consequently, pumping out vastly more greenhouse gas emissions into our atmosphere. It's friction, sure, but with a very real, very heavy cost. To really put this into perspective, the International Maritime Organization's GIA report on biofouling found something remarkable. A layer of slime as thin as 0.5 millimeters. We're talking about the thickness of your fingernail here. Covering just half of a hull triggers an absolutely enormous environmental penalty. That tiny half-millimeter layer of slime alone, it can cause a massive 25% spike in greenhouse gas emissions for a standard 175-meter bulk carrier. Think about that. A quarter more emissions, just from something you could literally wipe away with your finger. All right, so let's move on and see how this compounds when we introduce macrofouling, the hard stuff. Slime is bad for sure, but barnacles are a completely different, much more stubborn beast. If a 320-meter tanker gets just a tiny 1% coverage of these little armored hitchhikers, barely a smattering across its massive hull, the drag penalty goes entirely off the charts. We are talking about a staggering 55% increase in greenhouse gas emissions, literally just to push those small barnacles through the water. Imagine your car's fuel efficiency being cut in half just because it's a little dirty. Well, that is the harsh reality for these massive vessels. When you look at the actual data from the IMO report, a terrifying trend emerges. As a ship's condition moves from light slime to small calcareous fouling, emissions absolutely skyrocket. The perceived impact of biofouling has been historically and vastly underestimated by the shipping community. But this data reveals a profound truth. Fighting slime is literally fighting climate change. So that brings us right back to our Hormuz mystery. If barnacles are so devastating, why do some ships sitting at that anchorage stop at slime, while others get completely covered in those shell-building parasites? The answer isn't in the water. It's actually on the hull. It turns out it's all about the chemistry. You see, modern ships use completely different defense strategies. Self-polishing polymers, for example, essentially sweat out fresh biocides through a continuous chemical reaction to hold off growth even when the ship is idle, provided the coating is young. Fouling release coatings take a different route. They use silicone to make the hull so slippery that barnacles just wash right off once the ship starts moving again. But older technologies? Yeah, they deplete rapidly when sitting still in warm, high-fouling waters. But here's where Captain Sharma points out a brilliant plot twist in our investigation. He states quite simply, the coating certificate is not the hull condition. It's a classic case of irony, right? You have an onshore team reading a pristine dry dock certificate in a cozy office, but they rarely see the ship's true, grinny, underwater history. I mean, a ship might look completely protected on its paperwork. It might boast this engineered static limit of 14 to 21 days, meaning it's supposedly guaranteed to sit idle without growing any barnacles. But actually, scratch that, paper doesn't mean much in the ocean. Antifouling performance degrades as a function of time and, crucially, operational trauma. Think about two sister ships. They carry the exact same premium coating, trading on the exact same routes. The certificates match perfectly. But one might be, say, 8 months out of the dock, while the other has spent nearly 4 years accumulating localized mechanical damage. Every single rub against a tugboat, every scrape against a jetty fender, every anchor chain abrasion, it all chips away at that chemical armor. Even something as brutal as breaking through ice literally destroys that protective polymer layer instantly. The certificate back in the office hasn't changed at all, but the underwater defenses are completely compromised. And that damaged, roughened area, that is exactly where a barnacle larva is going to find its new home. So the mystery of the Hormuz anchorage, it's finally solved. It's a very specific recipe. The ship that grew barnacles didn't just have bad luck. It simply had a depleted or mechanically damaged coating. When you combine that with warm waters full of larvae and a prolonged static wait, the ship's defenses failed. The chemistry gave out and the barnacles moved in. Okay, now that we deeply understand the incredible cost of all this friction, the massive greenhouse gas penalty, and exactly how the chemistry breaks down, it's time to figure out how the global shipping industry can actually fix this. And the answer requires a massive shift from reactive cleaning to proactive, holistic hull management. The good news? Ship operators aren't defenseless here. They have a really robust arsenal of commercial options. This ranges from meticulously matching the correct advanced coating, like an SPC or FRC, to a ship's specific trading profile, to utilizing proactive in-water cleaning technologies. The key is to manage the microfouling, to wipe away the slime before it ever has the chance to solidify into an impenetrable shell. Because honestly, if they wait until that macrofouling really sets in, requiring intense manual labor to literally chip away at a heavily fouled propeller, the battle is already lost. By this point, the economic and environmental damage to our global supply chain has already been done, and tons of excess carbon have already been burned. Ultimately, as this multi-billion-dollar shipping industry races toward futuristic low-carbon fuels and incredibly complex new engine designs, we have to ask a remarkably simple question. Is the most immediate, most effective way to save our atmosphere simply keeping the bottom of our boats clean? It turns out, saving the world might just start with a battle against slime.